We arrived in Caye Caulker at about 2 p.m. and took in the lovely island views as we headed to our hotel. And they mainly speak English in Belize, so it was really easy to get around.
After a short 10-minute walk, we arrived at Sophie's guest house. A lovely little room and a hammock outside each one with a nice view of the sea. I then was talked into getting my hair cut by Beth.
Great success.
That afternoon we just had a little wander around the island. Golf buggies tend to be the main mode of transport here, and all the locals have Caribbean accents and listen to reggae music. If you've been to the Gili Islands before, it's a bit like Gili Tea has collabed with the Caribbean. That evening Jack taught a BJJ session here while I planned a boat trip for the next day.
We had our free morning coffee sitting on the waterfront
before we headed out on the boat trip via visiting this chonky boy.
After a prayer from the boat captain and a snorkel fitting, we headed out on the boat, joined by this massive pelican as a tour guide.
The first stop of the trip was to try and see some manatees, which we actually did. Here you can see on some terrible GoPro footage that its nose is popping out there. They don't really like being around the boats because they're quite shy. So apparently we were very lucky to see them. And if you didn't know what a manatee looks like, here it is. And they're referred to as the cows of the sea because they're just big, gentle giants. The second stop was to see the tarpons. These are absolutely ginormous fish that will jump up and catch food right out of your hand. Did you know these fish can grow up to 8 feet long and weigh over 127 kilograms?
The next stop, we were able to jump off the boat and go for a snorkel. The seas were alive with tropical fish swimming in and out of the coral reefs. And our guide threw on his snorkel to show us some of the cool fish.
The last stop was to go and see the sharks, whose teeth look like this. They're nursing sharks, and instead of using their teeth, they use powerful suction to vacuum up crustaceans and small fish from the ocean floor.
They fed them loads of small fish from the boat to make them gather round.
And then we could jump in to see them from underwater. And even a couple of stingrays made an appearance.
Stingrays have the potential to be dangerous, but if you leave them alone, they're absolutely fine.
After some more swimming around with the sharks, we got back on the boat and headed back to land. Now we were super hungry, so we were on the hunt for some food. Jack had some chicken wings and buffalo sauce, while I had what could be the best burger of my life.
We didn't feel like we'd had our fill of stingrays, so we headed to a beach just down the way from our hostel, where it seemed all the stingrays like to gather and just swim around your feet. On the other side of the dock, there was also another area to see seahorses, but they were so small and far away it wouldn't have made a very good video. That evening we bought some local rum and sat and watched the sunset. Then we headed out to try some local cocktails at the Big Titty Rum Bar. For dinner I had a local curry with coconut rice.
And I had a mountain of tortilla chips and shrimp ceviche, which is basically pico de gallo with shrimp in it, and it was fantastic. The next morning it was already time to leave. We had a water taxi booked at 9 o'clock to get to Belize City, and as much as we'd have loved to explore more of Belize, the budget did not allow for this as it's quite expensive. But for anyone watching who goes to Cancun on holiday in future, take the 8-hour bus to Chetumal and do Caye Caulker. You won't regret it.
The water taxi took 45 minutes to get to the other side, and we grabbed a really terrible sandwich while waiting for the bus.
We then boarded this sweaty shuttle bus, which was crammed full of sweaty people.
The bus took 6 hours, and that was our time in Belize done. On to Guatemala.
I'll see thee!